Well, thank you for having me. This is great fun. This is one of my favorite talks I give because I'm actually a huge advocate and fan of Gen Y here. So for those who are in the audience, yeah, okay, you can help me out here. I know sometimes it's hard to have, I'm a 40-something, and to talk about Gen Y sometimes I don't even say the right thing, so feel free to correct me. But I have a big survey here. How many people are on LinkedIn? Raise your hand. All right, that's better than I usually get. Okay, how many people on Facebook? Keep your hand up. Anyone on Twitter? Okay, so those are the three biggies these days that everyone's talking about, and I'll try to talk. This isn't one of these how-to classes about those, but we'll talk a little bit about what's affecting Gen Y. Here we go. Which generation are you? And I love to break it down by the song My Generation, because I'm a Gen X, and I like Green Day's version, but I have heard the Who's version, and I didn't realize in Gen Y, Hillary Duff sings the song. So I actually had to go on YouTube and listen to it. It wasn't too bad. So this is the breakdown of the generations. I go by the Pew Internet and American Life Project, which is a great website, PEW Internet. They track usage of the internet and who's on it, who's doing it, gender studies. It's a fabulous. They do some wonderful reports. So Pew, P-E-W, Internet and American Life Project. And they do some great stuff on there. And so I use their breakdowns of generations. It's very people argue about what this is, and so the way I look at it today, we're going to ignore the Gen Xers as usual. We always get ignored because there's only 37 million of us, and everybody else has 80 million. So usually the breakdown for me when I'm talking about the people who are 40 and over, because I went to college without a computer. I had an IBM Selectric, you know, if anyone remembers those. My first computer I had in the workforce was a Wang, computer, because we were in Boston, and that was our big client. So, so I didn't have my first computer until law school, and then it was a Macintosh, that square thing, and the bomb used to show up and blow up my whole outline for the year. Yeah, so it was not a great introduction to computers for me. So I did not grow up with computers, and that is really the divide, I think. Even Generation X can be divided down the middle, whether you had a computer in high school or not, because I believe what's going on with you in high school kind of shapes your view of life, and we'll talk a little bit about that, both with computers and some other things. So one of the things I'm going to talk about tonight is to take an example. I like to use simple examples. Here are three common things we're going to talk about: thumbs, computers, and community, and see how the two different generations. As I said, we're ignoring Generation X. Here's why you have to be concerned. Baby boomers have 76 million. We only have 37 million in Gen X, and there's 76 million in Gen Y. So if you're a boomer and you're still in the workforce for the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to have to deal with this group that is going to equal you in numbers. Arthur Andersen did a study of their workforce recently, or Ernst & Young did a study of their workforce recently, and 65% of their employees were under the age of 35. So they're going to cater to that group. So if you are working for a company, they're going to cater to that group. So now we're talking about thumbs. Now in the old days, if you'd asked me the question, what's the greatest innovation in thumbs, I would have said, the textbook, what we learned, they're opposable. That was really important back then. You do a, yes? Slide rules, okay, you got slide rules for thumbs. So in thumbs, they're opposable. There we go. Well, we're going to get to that, because when we think of thumbs in my generation, it's thumbs up, thumbs down. A few of us might have done this a few too many times. Now I want everyone to give me a thumbs up out in front. Okay, just humor me here. Do this. Now take your other hand and put it out next to you with another thumbs up. Now wiggle your fingers. Welcome to Gen Y. Okay. So for them, the biggest change in thumbs is being manipulated. And now, how could things with thumbs change? But there was a study out of London that I read that just fascinated me. I heard about it on NPR, and I had to go track it down, because it said that Gen Y, millennials is the other word for them, ring doorbells with their thumbs. And I was like, that's, I would ring a doorbell like that. I wouldn't even think about that. So I lived in a college neighborhood at the time, and I was going to chase everybody around, but then I didn't want to be the creepy lady following them to see how they ring doorbells. So I sent out an email to some of my friends that were younger. I said, well, what finger do you use to ring a doorbell? And most of them wrote back and said, wouldn't you just text them to tell them that you were downstairs? So lesson number 1, do not invest in a company that makes doorbells. Okay, they will be obsolete. And so so basically the thumbs, they do ring doorbells with thumbs. They just use a different doorbell called a text. They text up there. So that's where thumbs, something as simple as that has changed how we view things. We are seeing carpal tunnel syndrome, and people were saying, well, thumbs are going to get bigger, but with BlackBerry keeps getting smaller, I don't know how that's going to work. So mobile phones and the use of doing things on the phone. So that's just a simple change of something we know. Computers. It's a big change of how we see computers. That's from 2001 Space Odyssey. That's how many of us, those of us that are a little older, was first introduced to the computer. It was HAL, the evil computer that was taking over and wanted to kill everybody. You know, HAL was a terrible thing. And I always loved the fact when HAL was one letter away from IBM. When we were first introduced to computers, there were these scary things, and for baby boomers, and I'll put myself in this group for this one, when the computer first came out, oh, it replaced my typewriter. It was a tool. When the web came out, it replaced my encyclopedia. I'm going to look it up online, and it also replaced the fax machine. You know, a few faxes are still around, but now I've been scanning. My fax sits dormant. I scan things. So it helped us with work, research, and just being basically efficient in what we were already doing. But for Generation Y, what it replaced was the telephone, the TV, and radio. Now that's a completely different way of looking at the same thing sitting right here. And it's for entertainment, communication, and creativity. So with those two views, I mean, this is a simple computer, yet it's got two different views of it. For many people now, it's where you log in. Your URL, the new Urban Street Corner is online. People are talking online. People are making their pithy comments online. That's how you find out information. How many of us found out about Joe Biden's nomination was on Twitter. I was, following Barack Obama. It came across thing. A URL, which stands for Uniform Resource Locator. That's that address line up at the top. That, for most people, is more permanent than their street address. We have a generation of kids whose parents are divorced, whose parents are being relocated around the country. So the most common thread for them would have been their MySpace page or their Facebook page, because that's not going to change no matter. We have a transient society now. It's not going to change. And social networks, Facebook and all this stuff, is going to be the norm. It is not going away, and I think people are now starting to realize that. The big ones I'll mention are Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn's mostly the business one. There is a big difference because people, I think MySpace is going to stay around, but it's very different from Facebook. Is anyone on MySpace? No. Right, there you go. It's, yeah, she's right there. Gen Y is even getting rid of it. There you go, right. Well, the background of how they developed is probably one of the reasons. MySpace came out of the Southern California alternative rock band scene. So it's a very creative, it's about records, and if you're in that industry or you are, if you're really into the rock band industry or arts and stuff like that, it would still be around. MySpace will still be around. Facebook, we all know, came out of Harvard. So it started with the college-educated crowd. MySpace is like random. Yeah, MySpace. What I did, I had to do my research on this, so I had a page on I did all of the ones, and MySpace, I got more crazy beefcake, crazy things, beefcake shots. I mean, they were nice to look at, but I was like kind of creeped out. So, I said, I pulled it down, right. Flickr is up there, although Facebook has more photos than Flickr. Facebook has more photo library. People use Facebook. I think Facebook will take over everybody, unfortunately. No, I want this.
Do you have any comments on some of the reasons?
The terms of service change?
Yeah.
They're backtracking from that and saying they don't own the thing. They had to backtrack. Someone made a big mistake on that one. Basically, the terms of service, they took a line out of there that said that we own, that said that we could take our materials down, that they did not clearly own it. It was our own personal. So if we put a photo on Facebook, they've now taken out the line that says the individual that put it up owns the photo. So it doesn't say that they own it. It doesn't clearly say that they own it. It doesn't say that we no longer own it. Yes, and they've been backtracking, and yeah, people went nuts. Yes. But listen to this: that you and I know that people went nuts because we were on Facebook. Not everybody else here is like there was some big thing going on. Okay, LinkedIn, I would say almost every professional should be on there. A lot of people say it's my Rolodex, it's your curriculum vitae, it should just be out there. But it's not a lot of personality and interaction. They are trying to create that, but it's kind of like adding stuff on after the fact. It's not built to accommodate it, and it's clunky and doesn't work so well. Facebook, right, so Facebook encourages more of the interaction, and the biggest group getting on there are the professionals right now. They opened it up to professionals in 2007. And it's just storming. I mean, the average age of people getting on is 40. It's been a huge influx. Their partnership with CNN, which I will talk later about, the young kids are going to go elsewhere. They're going to leave it.